Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video I'll be reacting to a segment on Ben Standig's podcast where he talked about the possibility of maybe Jamin Davis not making the final 53-man roster. That's something we really haven't discussed yet this offseason. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well so you never miss a video, and comment down below right now if you think Jamin Davis will make the final 53-man roster. Recording this a little bit late. Going to be going on a rafting trip tomorrow, so going to be busy all day with that. So if there's any crazy news, that is why I'm not posting about it until probably later in the day. But you guys will get this video, and I'm not hating on Jamin Davis at all. I personally think he will make the roster, but I thought this was a good, like a lot of my videos in the offseason, a good discussion point, just talking about Jamin Davis, what his role is going to be this season, and what his expectations are and what could maybe be the best possible outcome for the Washington Commanders, not only the Washington Commanders, but also Jamin Davis. So we all know that he, at least the start of the offseason, he's been doing a little bit of edge rush work, start out doing that, and has transitioned even more to that. And, he was asked about it, and he said, I feel like it's given me a chance to just really cut it loose and just go hunt some quarterbacks. Let's see. Let me pull up a tweet. So this is just Ben Standig's podcast, or his tweet promoting the podcast, talking about where does Jamin Davis fit. And if you listen to, I didn't listen to the whole thing, but sorry about that. Still a bit under the weather, some allergies, I don't know. But he was on, his podcast, obviously, with Mitch Tischler. That's what I meant to say. Mitch Tischler was on Ben Standig's podcast, and it was more brought up by Mitch Tischler, who said, are we even sure? I think Ben Standig was talking about Jamin Davis, and Mitch Tischler was like, are we even sure that Jamin Davis is going to make the roster? And that brought up the point, and Ben Standig wasn't completely dismissing it, but from what I heard, I didn't listen to the whole thing, I think he believes Jamin Davis is going to make it, but the question is, what is his role going to be? Because they have Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu, who are going to be every down linebackers. They're every down linebackers. And if you're playing two linebacker sets, Jamin Davis doesn't have a lot. He's not going to have a lot of potential to play at linebacker. He's going to get in those three linebacker sets. And sometimes if Frankie or Jamin Davis need to get, or not Jamin Davis, why am I saying Jeremy Chin? Bobby Wagner or Frankie Louvu, if one of them needs to get off for a little bit, then maybe they'll put Jamin Davis in, but he's not going to get a lot of PT at linebacker, and that's part of the reason why they're transitioning him more to edge rusher. He has that potential. We've seen it in the past. Let's look at his stats a little bit. 2021 had 1 sack, 2022 3 sacks, over 100 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 5 quarterback hits, 2 fumble recoveries, and then this year had 3 sacks, but 2 forced fumbles, also had 4 pass deflections or pass breakups, including interception, and then 8 tackles for loss, 3 QB hits. He had a solid season, not amazing. Also did miss 4 games, so maybe in those 4 games would have gotten an extra sack or so. But he has shown potential to get to the quarterback. I think Del Rio should have used him more. I really do think Del Rio should have used him more as a pass rusher, because when he did get to when he was asked to go get the quarterback, he usually did. And there was a couple other plays, if I remember correctly, that maybe got called back because either he hit the quarterback in the head, which obviously is a penalty, but he still got there. So it's still encouraging. And there was maybe one other where he got the sack, but there was like a holding penalty on some other player that really didn't affect the play, but the refs had to call it, and it took back a sack. If I remember correctly, that did happen. I do remember it's a random thought, but that happened with Montez Sweat, and I think it was Cole Holcomb in the Eagles game in 2020, where if Montez Sweat would have gotten the sack, it would have been his 10th sack, and that was a little bit disappointing. But Jamin Davis, he does have a lot of competition if he's going to be competing at edge. I mean, you have Dorrance Armstrong, you have Clelin Ferrell, you got Dante Fowler, you got Andre Jones, you got KJ Henry, who had some really big-time plays last year. He really did. Speaking of KJ Henry, what were his final stats? I know I looked it up at some point, but I just want to see. He did have some big-time plays last year, and I think he has a shot. I'm not saying he's going to do it because he there are a lot of veterans ahead of him, but wouldn't be super surprised if he started as edge rusher. So played 10 games, started 3, batted down 2 passes, had a sack and a half, 4 tackles for loss, 19 total tackles, 2 QB hits. So had some big plays. Wasn't amazing, but was solid for the Commanders. I'm not going to, glaze a guy that had 1.5 sacks and say he's gonna the next coming of Lawrence Taylor or whatever, Micah Parsons. But he did show some flashes, and if he gets more of an opportunity, also second year, we'll see what he can do. He's going to be competing. I think the only guy we know for sure starting is Dorrance Armstrong. And even that is not guaranteed. I think it's going to happen. They paid him a decent amount of money. He's, came from, Dan Quinn's system and everything. So I believe he is going to, I think he's going to get that starting spot. But after that, it's really a competition between, I would say, Dante Fowler, KJ Henry, and Clelin Ferrell for that next edge rusher spot. I really do. I don't think Efe Obada has much of a shot. Andre Jones showed a lot in the offseason last year, but I don't think he's going to make it. Just 7th round pick from the previous regime. Maybe he'll make it, but he's not going to be the starter, at least from my point of view. I think it would be very, very hard for him to be the starter. That's at least what I was trying to say. Not that he's not necessarily going to make the roster, which is still going to be very tough for him. And then you had Jamin Davis, who, if he's going to be a full-time edge rusher, he definitely will be competing with those guys for the starting edge rusher spot, because there's no clear guy. Dante Fowler has been solid in the past. Clelin Ferrell has been like a rotational edge rusher. And then, we got KJ Henry as well. So he does have a shot, and he also has that versatility of, hopefully Frankie Louvu or Bobby Wagner don't get hurt, knock on wood. But if they do, you have a guy in Jamin Davis that you can just switch him back to linebacker, and he can be an every down linebacker. So he has that versatility. So I find it very, very hard to believe that Jamin Davis is not going to make this roster. And there are some people in the comments talking about cap space. Who cares really at this point? The Commanders have a lot of cap space, that a difference in like $1 million between Jamin Davis versus the other guy that they're going to keep. It's not that big of a deal. It really isn't. And I think Jamin Davis is way too talented and very versatile to keep off this roster. And I think he can be a contributor this year, a guy that maybe he's not going to get a ton of PT. I think he can make a lot of splash plays, though. Rushing the quarterback, and sometimes as a true linebacker as well. You can also play him at edge, and guess what? Drop him back into coverage like Del Rio did with Chase Young and Montez Sweat sometimes. But this time, it's a guy that actually is used to covering running backs and tight ends. So that is another thing that would be good. The Dallas Cowboys did it well with Micah Parsons, and guess who was there? Dan Quinn and Joe Witt. So those guys are in charge of the Joe Witt's in charge of the defense, but Dan Quinn's going to be helping out a lot, and I'm sure they're going to be able to, if they can get anything out of Jamin Davis, or if there's anything to get out of Jamin Davis, they're going to get it out of him. If not, it's really on Jamin Davis, and we'll see. But I do like him, but at this point in his career, he might not be a lock to be a starter, but I think saying he's not going to make the roster is a little bit crazy. I think it's a little bit crazy. You see the Commanders' linebacking core, it's very crowded, but still, Jamin Davis is better than Jordan McGee, Michael Walker, and I really like Jordan McGee, and maybe he will be better than Jamin Davis this year, but he's a 5th-round rookie, and we've seen what Jamin Davis has done in his first 3 years in the league. In the last year or two, he's been at least okay at times, and it's very rare for a 5th-round rookie linebacker to be better than okay right away. And even if he is, Jamin Davis is still better than Michael Walker, but obviously they're going to keep Jordan McGee because he is a rookie 5th-round pick from their first draft class. They're not going to cut him, but in terms of PT, Jamin Davis, if he's at linebacker, would probably be ahead of Jordan McGee. But that's it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, turn on that notification bell as well, so you never miss a video. And if you stayed till the end, go ahead and comment down below. I'm trying to think of some OG players. There's a few guys running through my mind. Let's go with Will Blackman. We'll go with Will Blackman. But thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoy it, and peace.